One of the amazing things about meditation is that it gives us a chance to look directly into our own experience and to see what's really happening, to see how the world is not something fixed out there, but something that actually we're, in a way, co-creating through our own relationship to it and through what's happening in our body and our mind. It's true not only with the world, but also with ourselves. So I think the amazing invitation of meditation is that if you want to know what's really happening here, if you want to know who you really are, you can sit down and take a look, and you can see for yourself. And in a way, the systematic instructions are really just a vehicle for being able to do that. In a way, our ordinary way of living is sort of characterized by distraction and being just caught up in things, caught up in achieving, caught up in trying to get somewhere, caught up in the stuff of life. And we're almost like we're tourists, and we occasionally visit the present moment when it looks good, and when the conditions are favorable and we like what we see, but we tend not to hang out very long. And the systematic instructions in meditation are really to help us learn how to sustain our attention in the present. Sometimes I think about it as every moment that we come back to the breathing, to the body, just come back to what's happening right now. It's like we're putting a little drop on the ground, and as we do this again and again, each of these droplets, although they individually may seem like nothing, over time they begin to connect, these moments of presence where we come out of the kind of virtual reality that we live in, of past and future, of the worlds of our hopes and expectations and ideas about things. We come back into just what's happening right now. These moments begin to connect and form a kind of a stream of presence, a stream of presentness, if you will. And whereas at first it may feel very effortful, oh yeah, I got to be present, and seem like work. Over time it becomes quite effortless. It's almost like the stream begins to carry us. And when we're here for some sustained period of time, it becomes a lot easier to see what's actually happening. What's actually happening in our own bodies, what's actually happening in our own minds. And we can see how our thoughts and our own internal experiences actually shape our experience of the world. As the Buddha said, in a way, our thoughts create the world. One of the first instructions I ever got when I made that 180-degree turn and began to look here instead of out there was to take a look at how I actually live. This was from my first teacher, that had been his first instruction from his first teacher, who was Krishnamurti. So you can take this as coming directly to you from Krishnamurti, to take a look at how you actually live. And while that may seem simple, it's actually found it quite profound, because it's saying, take a look at how you live, not how you think you live, not how you think you should live, not how you want to live, but how you actually live. And as I began to practice, I began to actually have the capacity to even be able to approach doing that. I remember, early on, soon after I had made this shift in orientation, I was living in an area in Massachusetts where there was a woods, beautiful woods and a field that went on for quite some distance. And I would often take a walk in the evening, and I would walk along the road. And I started to wonder, why do I always walk along the road? Why do I never walk into the woods? And I noticed that anytime I'd sort of like turn towards where the woods are, this little feeling would arise. I got curious about that. What is that feeling? It was fear. It's subtle, but it was striking to me that I hadn't even noticed that before. That it was fear. So being interested, in what was happening, I decided I'm gonna walk into the woods and I'm just gonna see what happens. So I started to take walks every night, and I'd walk in the woods. And I realized very quickly that I was really afraid of the dark. Not the dark when I was inside, but somehow being out in the woods alone as the winter. I'd walk for a little ways, and hear some little creaking, and I'd just feel this prickling all over my body and a rush of fear. I was very interested in what was happening, so I'd stop, stand, close my eyes. I would just watch my mind create content. Every monster movie I ever saw arising, every horror movie, picturing somebody standing right behind me with a big knife, I had done enough practice at that point where I knew this is my mind generating content. It was still terrifying, but I'd stand there and breathe, watch all the various images come and go, and when it quieted down, I'd keep walking. Little ways longer, sort of a dark enclave where I can't see anything, and just watching my mind fill the darkness with terrifying images. And it was fascinating. It was really exhilarating, actually. It wasn't sort of being macho and trying to face fear and move through it. It's more like a real curiosity about how is my mind determining my experience. And over time, it was quite beautiful. I got very used to these images. And although they have many creative variations, they got much less scary. And there were even times when I could walk through the woods where it was so dark I couldn't see anything. And rather than being some sort of horrific lair of lurking ghouls and murderers, there was this incredible, rich peacefulness of the dark. And I think of this as kind of a metaphor also for much of our lives. All of these ways in which we don't notice how we don't notice what's limiting us, and we don't know that it doesn't have to.